All right. So, Gina, we are so excited to have you on the show and talk about Stellar Pretzels. I'm so honored and inspired by your journey, and I know our followers will be. So, welcome to the show, the Colleen Gallagher podcast, and we're excited to hear your story.
Thank you for having me. It is all our pleasure, and I'm glad to be here on behalf of my mom and I, the
Yes.
co-founders of our brand.
Yes. And so I know we'll have you and your mom later, and we'll have a second episode because you guys are just incredible. The more I researched about you, I just am blown away. And so the first question I really wanted to ask for this audience and just for you is what really inspired you and your mom to go, let's make this brand of pretzels that we sell, we manufacture, we research and development, and we offer into the world and believe in 25 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, do we have 25 years to tell the story? I will boil it down basically as best as I can. My mom has been passionate that good food shouldn't be a luxury. And she's an immigrant to the United States. She's from France. And so she's had this do-it-yourself mindset from pretty early on. She knew that if she wanted good food, she wanted to know what's in it. She wanted to trust that she could give it to her child. She'd have to make it herself. So she said, there's nothing that'll stop me. And that's when in 92, she started baking and manufacturing snacks. I will say it was never a brand that told her own story. She was always kind of the woman behind the scenes or behind the curtain, making great snacks, great pretzels, great trail mixes, that sort of thing. When I came on the scene as I guess my career path started like solidifying in my mind. I was about 20 years old and I knew I wanted to do creative work and branding. So I came to her with the idea that we should mix our two strengths and passions and create a brand that I believe stands for something very much larger than pretzels. It tells her story, it gives back the gratitude and just the acknowledgement to what she's overcome to be a pretzel maker and a big player in the industry today. And I think they're the best pretzels we've ever made. So this is Stellar Snacks. Got them right here, but we can talk more about what are the proof in the pretzels that we can jump into later as we go into the conversation.
And I can attest they are amazing pretzels. Like I've had them. Like we just had I know everyone maybe isn't a fan, but I like the Kardashians for their branding and how they've grown. And so every Wednesday I have a girls' night at my place, and we had your snacks as the dip. So like you were the pretzels for the dip. So I love you guys, and they're amazing pretzels. So I love that you shared that. And I think what's really profound what you said is that, I saw my mom doing this and I wanted to find a way to collaborate. And I think it's important, whether it's mother, daughter, or woman, like we really are in this era of collaboration, and we really are in this place of we have to lift each other up and find like what our niche is, what our passion is, and then how do we accelerate that together. So I love that you brought that up, and I think it's a really powerful key indicator for anyone listening in the audience is like you don't have to do it all alone. Like know what you're good at, and whether it's your mom or it's a friend, but like find that place to build the team and grow an empire.
Exactly. I was just actually speaking with my mom on the phone last night because we were reflecting. I went to a cool kind of conference about entrepreneurship, and we were hearing the kind of stories, and the big takeaway for us was that the reason Stellar Snacks has been able to thrive is that my mom's an entrepreneur that's never told me I have to fill her shoes, because like let's be honest, they're really big shoes to fill. Like she is incredible. She's like a superwoman figure on earth. So what she taught me from a young age, I'm her only child, is that I don't ever have to fill her shoes. I can find my own shoes, find my own position in life where I feel that this is my place to thrive, where I can bring the most to the world. The net benefit, net positive, changing certain like habits that we have to make them for good, and find that, and that'll be where I can contribute the most, not being her prodigy or being exactly a photocopy of her, but how do I find my own thing? And that's what we've done with Stellar Snacks.
And I love that you brought that up. And even when, before we started the conversation of like, kind of really functioning as like the they instead of an identity. And so I wanted to, the next question that went into is why more of an identity question. Why was being vegan, non-GMO and peanut free so important to you guys in your brands and being that forward thinking and where the world's going?
I appreciate that question a lot. I think that my mom is actually the spearhead of all things recipe development and all things manufacturing practices. So it is really rare, like for a brand to be manufacturing their own snacks. I think that's kind of a lesser known fact, but a lot of people go to a co-packer, and that's through them, you're just one of 1,000 brands. And so if you ask to be peanut free, they say like, no way, we're making Cliff bars, or, they're making something else as well that they're not willing to sacrifice that. But to us, we started Stellar Snacks saying that we had to make our pretzels because we needed to see the quality. We're called Stellar because that's a promise. If you open our bag of pretzels and they don't taste stellar, then it's not us. Like, I will fully guarantee that. I mean, it's kind of complicated legally to do that, but it's a promise to the customer that they can expect stellar quality product from a company that acts in a stellar way. Our employees should come to work feeling stellar, and so that reverberates through the messaging and the attributes of our snacks. So we chose vegan, non-GMO, and peanut free, mostly to be as accessible as we can. We're also kosher. So we tried to kind of hit as many marks as we could with our offering. We're even, between me and you, working on gluten-free pretzels to try to accommodate different like gluten intolerances and celiac. Also just there's dietary preferences. So we're really keeping R&D sharp so that we can be meeting the needs of the growing industry.
And what I love about your brand is, like, for a lot of our listeners who are they're just like kind of starting their passion project, or they're accelerating. What I love about you guys is that it's not like you just started one day. It's 25 years that you've really developed this. Now brands come to you for research and development. Like, you're a distributor, you're a manufacturer, not just of your own, but of others, which I think is like what you brought back to, like, inclusivity. Like, and that's a value of my company. I'm calling Gallagher International. And I love that it seems like a value of Stellar. Like, you really want to be inclusive of every type of person. So this is a snack that can be at everywhere. It's something that you can feel good about, and it's nourishing to your body instead of taking energy from your body. And I think that's such a powerful thing, especially with something like pretzel. It's like a carb. So I think that it's just so powerful. And to hear that it's like mother and daughter, and there's just so many things of, like, the opportunities are endless when you tap into what can be possible. So I love that. And that kind of goes into my next question. So my next question was, what can you say or tell us that a day in the business looks like, with inquiries, sales, manufacturing, distribution? Like, what does that really look like?
I think there is no day in the life. Really, we are always responding to, we'll say, opportunities, not challenges. I think it's important to have that kind of optimistic mindset when you're in the entrepreneurship space, but we're never having 2 days that look alike. My mom and I are big believers that we should both know and operate basically every role in the business. We can't ask somebody to package our snacks or bake the pretzels through the oven without knowing how to be a pretzel operator, a bagging coordinator, like a sales correspondent. Like, we do every role in the company, and that's like a big tenet of how we run it. We're very much like front line and in the trenches leaders, because coming from the top down, and that will never, to us, create the culture that we want to see, create that stellar feeling when you come to work, knowing that your bosses are the ones maybe clocking the most hours. My mom more than me, I'll tell you that much. She gets like no sleep. We write that on the bag that we lose sleep over the pretzels, and I think not many people believe us, but she gets about like 2 to 3 hours a night. She's, like I said, Wonder Woman.
One of one.
Yeah, she's 1 in a billion. But I think that, what was the question? Where did I go with that?
I was just saying, like, what does a day in the business look like? And basically, to summarize it, I can summarize it for you, is that, and I think it's the entrepreneur journey. And this is what I want my audience to hear, whether you're a service-based business, which is, I have more services, but I do have 7 manufactured products that I create and distribute. But I think what I wanted to grasp from this question is, you guys have 25 years. I have 4 years. You're a family-oriented business. You have big contracts. You have manufacturing. I wanted them to hear that it's never going to look the same. No matter what you do, there's always going to be problems, but it's the fact that you just believe in what you're doing. And I think you really captured that. It's never going to look the same. It's never going to be the same. And as a leader, if you want to have your own business, you have to know everything. No one's going to do it for you. You can't just hire a marketing firm. You can't just hire a whatever. Like, part of the journey, which is what we love, and part of the process is you have to learn to be it and do it all. And I think we think, because you're an entrepreneur, you have, X amount of money more than the average person, so you can just hire it out or outsource it. But the journey makes it so fun because you learn so much in the process, which makes it beautiful. And that's what I feel like you captured really well.
Thank you. Yeah. And I mean, I just recently heard somebody speak about restaurants, how to make a good restaurant. is you start by becoming a busser somewhere. You know, if you start in every role, because, and it's not to say that
diminishing.
no, not at all. And like, it's important to know every role because then you can schedule better. You can calculate when you're running your books and you're seeing how much labor costs for creating our pretzels. We consider that employees, you know, need to take like stretch breaks that I don't think many manufacturers do that. You know, we think of these things because we've done it ourselves. And when my mom started her company, it was a business of one. And actually, it's super good news. I think I said 25 years as a knee jerk, but my mom just had the anniversary of 30 years. It was 1992. So it is very, very, very special time to be chatting with Stellar Snacks.
No, I love that. And that kind of goes into my next question. So I guess the next thing I want to ask is, what do you think has been the most challenging part of this journey as a business woman owner who is an inventor of a new pretzel brand as well as manufacturing? Like, what has been that challenge? Because your mom has definitely seen a lot of growth in 30 years and you've probably seen too. So what are those challenges that you feel like you're like, oh, fuck?
Yeah. The road bumps or the hurdles, you know, it's funny. My best friend is a really good hurdler and he taught me a lot of lessons about not seeing hurdles as impediments, but rather like as a sport you can master. That's how my mom goes through life. She's like a gazelle, like just jumping over.
I love that in metaphor. That's so powerful.
Yeah. Shout out T, I love you. But yeah, so I identify as non-binary. So I'm a business person, and the hardest thing in my like business person journey, I think, has actually been the pandemic. I think that I think that's going to be a lot of people's answers to this question, but our main source of business is airlines. So we fly Stellar Pretzel Braids on United Airlines, JetBlue Airlines, Alaska, and currently American First Class. So that's a lot of business that requires planes to be in the sky and snacks in the sky. So when all those flights were grounded, we had to come up with a whole new way to operate. We had to keep our lights on. My mom and I looked at each other and we said, we're not firing a single person. We don't know when this will end. Well, like, we were thinking it was weeks at the beginning, right? And it turned into years and just reverberating effects on the supply chain. But, you know, we looked at each other and we said, number one, like, let's list out our priorities as simply as we can, not in business speak, not in fancy vernacular, but like, what do we care about right now? And what are we going to pledge to? So it was to keep our employees with work. We didn't want them to have to go out and find work in an already volatile and dangerous time. We wanted to keep our workplace safe and following different like best practices in terms of like masking up and distancing. So we ebbed and flowed. We do birthday parties and everybody was really sad because employee birthday parties had to be really, really spaced out, and we like to dance at Stellar Snacks. So we were really happy when that became safe to do again. But, you know, we were able to kind of flex and shift towards food banks and just putting all of our capacity, all of our production towards who needed food now. I think our biggest kind of source of where we sent snacks to was actually K through 12 schools. So kindergarten through 12th graders that were in like free and reduced lunch programs and what have you, were getting our whole wheat pretzels. We like stopped with the kind of traditional pretzel and we were adding more nutrition, extra love into our pretzels and baking at cost. Basically, it was a very like tough time for the accounting books and it meant a lot of us in management had to not necessarily take home anything, but just holding on to like what mattered to us and knowing that it was for the greater good. And then in the end, you know, we came ready to launch this brand stronger than ever and more together.
And I feel like I can feel, even though I was just introduced to your brands, like during COVID, like I feel like what you shared is the truth of an entrepreneur journey. Like, no, I launched this with the community and with a vision and no one is left behind. And that's why I love entrepreneurship more than a corporation, because it is like you have this like similar principle and value of like, no, everyone is moving forward together because it's how we got here and it's how we're moving forward. So I think starting, I think we're like, oh, everyone else has no money troubles or cash flow problems but us. But it's like, it's universal and it always happens on the journey. And the more that we can accept it, it really supports us in our growth and our longevity. And I think that's a really important thing. So I love that you shared that, because I definitely agree. You guys are, I mean, you're in more retail stores than I've ever seen before. And yeah, it's an incredible journey. So the next thing I was going to say is, what has been the most rewarding part of the entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, that's very sweet. And harder to answer because there's really a lot in it. And, I want to just first shout out that my mom, I can't thank her enough. And it almost makes me want to like get emotional right now, but she brought me in on her entrepreneur journey. When I was like 5 years old, I was really, really involved in, first of all, she like her water broke at the factory. She literally like was a day off work.
She's
I was
committed
as close as it comes to being born,
on the
like
line.
born into this industry.
Yeah.
So she has been like family first, but work a very close second my whole life. And so I've learned a lot about, what it means to her to be responsible for feeding not just her family, but all 120 employees' families. I think that the most rewarding thing has seen the tangible effect on our employees' lives. I mean, I'm kind of biased to this brand, like being really exciting. I see it in stores and jump around off the walls and like I scare everybody.
That's amazing. You're not biased. It's amazing. That's obviously yours. Anyone in my I'm biased on my products and my podcast. So I know
the thing I'll get like sappy about is that each bag features a different artist. So I'll bring some other ones out.
You have the next question. The next question's on that, I promise.
Yay, I would love to tell more. But
no, your most rewarding is that you were born into it and that you are able to support other people. And I think that is also part of the entrepreneurial heart, is that you can provide other people with their dreams. And that's the most incredible part about being an entrepreneur, because it's not just your vision, it's a greater vision that people come together to move forward.
Right. And like my role at Stellar, I do like kind of run point on all things marketing, creative, that kind of traditional stuff. But the title,
it's the most important: design, presentation, it's the emotional connection. So
yeah.
So that goes for our last question before anything else. But also, what the packaging by Stellar is co-created with emerging illustrators and designers, giving artists a given platform to showcase their talents and get their work of art out. Why did this become important to you?
Yeah. So just to connect those two dots, my title at Stellar Snacks is Director of Advocacy. I believe that I am here on this earth to advocate for folks. So whether it's artists to get them more exposure, I was just making art with friends and they were saying, darn, like it is so hard to get discovered just on Instagram these days because there's a lot of us doing it. And they're like, I wish that there was a way that we could just put our art in front of more people, or like, how do we get that first big break? That's what we need, is that first big break. It comes in every kind of industry, not just art. You need someone to trust in you, and you need someone to like, just give you a vote of confidence. Like you might not have experience yet, but you have that drive. So we were hoping that Stellar Snacks could be an opportunity for that with artists. So we will hire them and commission their pieces at full price. Sometimes we just get them digitally, but we have a couple hanging up in the office, which is really fun. But they are paired with the right flavors. So we are very selective and long about this process, where, something herbaceous will get a nice kind of gardeny, like gorgeous oil pastel piece. This one's done by Huda in Morocco. We've got a spicy, very kind of punk rock piece that stands for our Sweet and Sparky line. It is just super fun to pair the essence of the flavor with that artist creation. So that's how it came up and came to be. And then now the future for Stellar Snacks kind of involves, how can we bring artists in more? My dream would be to like sponsor some art programs in schools. So I can't quite tell you everything we're baking up in our ovens, but that would probably be my goal for 2023, is to have a more even larger measurable impact.
And I think what's beautiful about what you're sharing is that this is the entrepreneur, is that it becomes larger than you. Like, it's not just about, yes, the pretzel is amazing, the product's amazing, but now how do we bring other people to elevate them? And that is the biggest joy, because you have put so much and poured so much into your life that you have the availability to give. And if you don't put yourself first and what you want, you can't give. And so I love that you are highlighting that, because that is the joy of life. And it just is an incredible journey. So the last, before we wrap up and we give your links and your social media, is, what do you really think is the 1 to 3 pieces of advice, for entrepreneurs or, small businesses that are stressed about everything? What do you think your advice is for them, having 25 years experience and contracts with airlines and, retail businesses and also consumers? Like, what is that advice, like 1 to 3 pieces you would give them?
Yeah. So So my mom she has 30 years experience, and I don't even know how much I would count for myself having been born into it. I just turned 24. I'll be upfront about that with you all. So I am definitely often underestimated. And I think that my first piece of advice is like, when you're underestimated, don't take that as something to discourage you. Take that as something to launch you and prove them wrong. Like you,
Love
it
that.
that's in a negotiation. If somebody thinks that they have you pinned as not smart or not talented or not knowing what you're talking about, do your research and homework, and like don't worry what they think of you, just prove them wrong, and like follow that thing, that spark, that ignition that you have within you.
So
Because I've actually been apologized to, like, oh, I didn't see that you knew that much about the equipment that you're purchasing, or I didn't think that you knew the actual food science behind your ingredients. And it's a lot more satisfying to have over delivered than to let that get internalized. It's hard sometimes. You can have the imposter
it's
syndrome,
fun.
you can have the self-doubt. I struggle with that all the time, but I just try to push through it and say that feeling of proving somebody wrong is going to also show other people in my shoes that they can push up against that too. I think you said three pieces, so I'll make the last two kind of quick.
I
One
said
is
1 to 3. So if you have one, one's perfect. If you have three, that's perfect. Don't feel pressured. And
right now
yeah.
I have plenty. I think this one's from my mom. She always has me echo this thought of hers, but don't take no for an answer. If there's a time where, you know, you really think that something is right, I mean, like no means no in some situations. Please respect that, everybody
Yeah,
listening.
no,
But
no. Well, I mean, we're meaning in a business sense of where you want to go in your vision.
right, in a business sense, my mom like was one of the first female entrepreneurs in her space, like
Yeah,
in
yeah.
food for aviation. It was very, very rare. And people told her no on the grounds that she's not the brand that they want to bring in, or she's not the spokesperson, or she's not even the person on the backside of the invoice that they want to talk to. And, she'll just keep trudging along and not let a no knock her down.
Yeah.
And then I think number three is like lead with empathy. I think
Mm.
that I think your audience is a lot of people that are forming the future. And sometimes there's a lot of pressure on us to just go, 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 hustle, 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 and make as much change, difference, or money as there is. I think remember the empathy piece. Someone helped you get to where you are, and when you get up, don't forget to like throw down a rope to bring somebody back up. Think about people of different backgrounds, of different positions in life, of different there's so many just things to consider, and empathy will, I think, ultimately guide us towards the right outcome as a collective of leaders that are shaping the next generation.
Totally. I love those and I agree with all of them. I think those are fabulous. And it's new information for this audience. So I love that. And the last piece is, anything else you want to share? Obviously where to find you, where to buy you and be part of you.
Thank
So
you. Yeah, so plug time. Stellar Snacks are now available on Amazon. So that is the come up of September, Virgo season. I'm so happy as a Virgo that,
yeah.
we're more available. Organize your shopping cart by color, whatever you got to do, Virgos out there. We're available across the country. So there's a store locator on our website to find what's nearest you. I know that you have listeners all over. So hello to everybody, and check us out. In LA, there's a ton of like
There's so
independent.
many. I went on there, you all, if you're in LA, there's no excuse.
There's no excuse. There's like Plant X and Venice and Juice to Grocers. There's like, I love these little local shops that are kind of they're not massive chains, and that support means a lot to them. So I love to route my Stellar fans over that way to support local and support independent stores in your area that have us. And if you don't see us in a store you love, DM us. Stellar_snacks on Instagram. DM me. I'm literally the person
They
responding.
always respond. They always respond. I can attest. She responds. She's on it, guys. Gina is on it.
I'm sending voice memos. No, but just DM us and we can help you out. Or if you need it for a bachelorette party all the way to birthday party, I've seen it all, and I'd be happy to hook you up with the best deals I can.
Yes. All right. Well, we love you, Gina. We're so excited. We'll have everything in the show notes, you guys, and please order and then tag me and tag them. And I love you guys so much. Thank you for being on here. And I'm just so honored to witness you and see you grow. And I'm excited to witness your growth over our lifetime.
Oh, thank you, Colleen. I really appreciate you having me on today, and it was great to get to know you. So as I say, peace and pretzels, y'all. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.